Hey, my name is Halie Rachal. I'm a professional interior designer based in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm 29 years old, and this is our Modern Meadows Remodel Project. I have been in the design industry just under a decade. I think anyone who's in a creative industry understands that you kind of have to be obsessed with the creative process in order for it to be a true passion. I don't necessarily think that you have to have a mentor within your field or your desired field. I just think you need to get yourself in rooms with people who are a step ahead of you in the direction that you want to go. When you're just a good human being, that's when your business thrives. I want to start our tour in the heart of the home, the kitchen. This kitchen is extra special because I feel it's extra homey, and the way that we achieved that is by two-tone cabinetry, two-tone countertops. We added a lot of very designer elements to make it feel a little bit more elevated, but we kept things very warm and neutral to create that cozy ambiance as well. And we're going to walk you through what those are in this space. Every home needs integrated appliances. We carried the same feature through to the dishwasher. I custom designed this range hood, and it was beautifully crafted by Bethany from Beth & Co Woodworks. And we loved, and you'll see kind of a motif throughout this project, we really loved those very feminine scalloped edges. So we incorporated that in the range hood, and we also brought it over to the kitchen island. There are a lot of ways we tied in that scalloped look throughout the home, and one of them is the paneling on the back of the island. If you're a coffee lover like me, like my clients are, a coffee bar is an absolute must. This was a very fun element that we designed for this kitchen remodel, just to make it feel a little bit homier and a little bit more suited to their daily lifestyle. So we did something that we're going to explain later on in our tour that basically completely eliminated a dining option for this home. Like most modern day families, this particular family is more of a casual diner. So instead of a formal dining room, which we converted to a library, we created this cute little breakfast nook for a beautiful place to drink your coffee, eat your breakfast, and have morning conversation. And at the end of the day, when you want to unwind, your breakfast table is right off of your wine bar. As a designer who loves natural elements, I'm always looking for ways to incorporate natural colors, textures, or tones in a space. And one of the ways that we did that in this design is this super fun fruit and veggie drawer pullout. So when the client officially moves in, this will be a space for things like potatoes, carrots, anything that can withstand time in a room temperature environment. It's just going to be a way to incorporate some color and some natural texture. Another custom element to this kitchen is this island that I designed. And a couple things that make it custom is, one, we have kind of a wonky layout in the kitchen just from the original layout of the house. And we did change some things, but we wanted to keep some things true to the original form. So in order to have an island of this size, this scale, we had to create some special elements like this little recessed nook. So fun fact, when you have a design, whether this be kitchen, living, dining, etc., you want to have a minimum of a 3-foot walkway. So with that in mind, obviously the kitchen being one of the most high traffic areas of the home, we created this special corner so that you would have a full 3 feet everywhere you go in the kitchen to make for the safest travel. I have been in the design industry just under a decade. Of that time, just over 3 years has been as my own studio. And there has been a lot of growth personally and a lot of growth within the industry as well. I think trends come and go all the time. And within the time that I've been in the design industry, there have been trends of everything is all white, everything is all gray, to now it feels like everything is moody and everything is colorful, which is way more my theme anyway. But I think what I've learned throughout that time from start to finish or start to current and what the trends have kind of ebbed and flowed as from then to now is that the only way you get a true timeless design is by being true to the client and really seeing through to the design what they think feels like them the most. I would tell the younger version of myself and people just getting started in design to, this is going to sound so cliche, but just do it. I think that in this industry specifically, or creative industries in general, a lot of the hesitation comes from the fear of failure. It's very visual what we do. It's very hands-on what we do. And the only true way, and this is coming from somebody who has many years of design school experience, internship experience, the only true way to, I feel, succeed in this industry is to just try, just to do, play with colors, textures, materials, pull samples from vendors that you like, create relationships in this world, and just fully dive in. It's the only way that you're going to truly find who you are as a designer and who you are as a creative. And that's where the true success is, I think. Now I want to take you guys to the living room. The Modern Meadows living room is probably one of my favorite spaces in the house. It's the least remodel change, but I feel like the furniture in here made such a huge impact. And what I love the most about this is that my client and I had a lot of collaboration on this particular project, and where I tend to lean into the moody side, I feel like this project helped me step outside of my comfort zone and create something a little bit lighter, brighter, and what truly kind of feels like spring year-round. The absolute best thing about this living room is its size. It is open, but it's not an open plan. There's windows floor to ceiling with natural light just flooding in. And so we really got to draw on the square footage that we had available to us by going super large scale into things like the sofa, the coffee table, and all of our supporting pieces. Referencing scale, we have 12 feet 7 inches from floor to ceiling of height to work with. So we really wanted to do something bold on this wall, and I absolutely love Tyler Gwynn. He is a phenomenal artist, and so we decided to go with his largest scale of Still His People to really draw the eye up on the wall. To continue to play with scale and add just a little bit of a textural and contrasting element, we also carried the design all the way up to the ceiling, where we did a hand-sewn beam that is in a darker tone to bring in the tone of the kitchen into the living room. Creating a cozy environment was essential to this project, and one of my favorite ways to do that when you have larger square footage is to really play into over dramatizing scale. So typically when you have this layout of furniture, you have a sofa, maybe a swivel or two, and then you usually have a settee. And what we did different is we did a full scale sofa and a full scale sofa with oversized swivel chairs to really create that sink-in feeling, which is ultimately where you feel that cozy, homey warmth. Again, because the square footage of this room is so large, we needed a rug that was larger than the typical standard available options. So I custom designed this rug with Ernesta to create a larger than life, super comfy, soft, grounding feeling on the floor. And then because we focused so much on scale and we wanted to widen the room as much as possible with all of the large scale furniture, we had to do something to draw our eye up. And as mentioned in our earlier walkthrough when we went through the kitchen, we talked about how scallop is a theme throughout the home. So we carried that through to the fireplace. This absolutely stunning travertine fireplace creates that vertical illusion of your eye drawing up and making the room feel larger than it actually is. Travertine is a natural stone. I use natural stone in every single one of my projects because they're durable, they're long-lasting, and they patina really well over time. I love this question. This is hands down the subject that I am the most passionate about. And I think what this really dumbs down to is, how do your clients want to feel in the space? And then everything that you do as a designer is helping them achieve that goal. So my favorite example is, you've had a long day at work, you walk into your bedroom, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel restorative? Do you want to just immediately go to sleep? Do you want to feel like maybe that's when you take on your creative passion projects and you want to feel energized and inspired? And once you nail down that feeling, then my job as a designer becomes so much fun. The next question from there would be, okay, so let's say you want to feel restorative. Where do you feel the most at peace? For me personally, it's nature. When I have my bare feet in the grass and it's a beautiful day outside, that is my zen. And so if I were designing a bedroom for myself, I would do everything that I could to incorporate all of those elements that I love and feel the most grounded nearby. So I think knowing the elements and principles of design and tying that into the feeling that the client brings to me is how I know when a space is right. I'm actually so passionate about this that I'm putting out an entire course in a couple months about this and kind of walking through this more in depth. So maybe you'll get more information at the end of this year. Oh my gosh, my husband's going to laugh when I answer this question. Yes, there are absolutely some daily habits that I have taken on as an interior designer. One of the most frequent ones is that I cannot go anywhere or sit in any room or eat at any restaurant without touching everything. I need to know what the textures feel like. I have to know if it's real, if it's fake. I need to know who the manufacturer was because my brain is a never-ending catalog of vendors and colors and textures and filing things away of, oh, I want to use that in a future project, or oops, want to steer clear of that one because I've seen it in person and I hate it. So yeah, I would say that in my daily life, I'm just constantly admiring buildings, furniture, and everything in between.
Do you think that comes with an obsession of interior design, or like, what do you think drives that?
I do think it's borderline obsession. I think anyone who's in a creative industry understands that you kind of have to be obsessed with the creative process in order for it to be a true passion. For me, it goes from everything to, from feeling all the way to looks. And when I have a project, especially ones that I'm exceptionally passionate about, it consumes me. It becomes my every single day, my every single thought, and my dreams. So I think, yeah, I would call that a passionate obsession. So the library that we're standing in right now is off of both the living room and the kitchen, and it's one of the most customized rooms in the house. We originally started as a dining room and completely converted it into a moody, tranquil, pensive place for both my clients. This is a unit custom designed by Sand and Stone, and my favorite detail of this is the slanted shelf. I think when you're creating a space that is supposed to be used first and foremost, not just a place to look at, but when you want to use the space that you're in, finding ways to make things beautifully functional is always the priority. And for these particular clients, they're book lovers. They love to read, they love to study, they love to explore their knowledge. So having a place where they can have their inspiring text open and available to read was a really fun element to add to this built-in. There were two things about this space that were non-negotiables for my client, and I loved them both so much. Non-negotiable number one was it has to be moody, right up my alley, and I was super excited about that. So we chose this beautiful color by Sherwin-Williams. It's called Rojo Marron, and it truly is the best red-brown that exists. The second element that was a non-negotiable was this Eames lounge chair. I feel like trends come and go, but again, if it's true to the client who is living in the space, it will forever be timeless. And this is just one of those things that I know he's going to love for years to come because it was so important from the beginning. While install day is amazing and I love it, and it is without a doubt the high of every project, there's months, sometimes years of work that goes into the project before it can come to a complete project. And I love every bit of it, from the measurements of creating a floor plan or a space plan or a reflected ceiling plan and making sure that custom millwork is functional and beautiful and that the math is good to go is just as exciting to me as the hard finish selections, which would be something like flooring, paint, countertops, things that are true to the space itself. And then you have your FFE selections, which are furniture, fixture, and equipment. That would be your light fixtures, your furniture, your decor, kind of what we call the jewelry of the space. And then you have, months in between each of those phases of endless emails, phone calls, vendor communication. So there is a lot behind the scenes that happens. And I truly love all of it. One of the most commonly asked questions of newer interior designers is, how do you start getting clients? And I think kind of going back to how do you start in general is you kind of just have to be willing to put yourself out there and network. And the best places to connect, or the best people to connect with, would be general contractors, architects, photographers who do interior design photography, realtors, anyone that you know would potentially be related to home remodeling, new building, or furnishing. And just making friends in those industries and having the connections with vendors of high quality furniture, textiles. So knowing, quality over quantity is really what's going to get you the best clients in the future. I think in the home industry, being an honest person with, moral integrity is really what gets you the farthest. Unfortunately to say, like most industries, not everybody is that way. So when you are that way, I think your clients appreciate it. And then that's when you get your referrals, and you get not even necessarily just referrals to other leads or other clients, but referrals to other people who could be of value to you in just the industry in general, who could introduce you to networking opportunities or just things of that nature. So I think just like almost anything in life, when you're just a good human being, that's when your business thrives. Now I want to take you guys to the entryway. The entryway is so important because just like everything, first impressions are important, and this is the first impression of your home. This is where your guests walk in. So creating something that is beautiful to look at but also welcoming is extremely important. So let's talk through how we did that here. Just like the rest of the home, to create that cozy feeling, layers are your best friend. So let's talk about how we did that here. We started with grounding the space with a beautiful rug, and we create the upward travel by layering in ottomans with a coffee table and then adding tons of texture and contrast on the console table, and then layering a picture with a mirror. And the mirror is great because it reflects light, it reflects images, and it makes the space feel larger. And then layered lighting here as well, all the way up to this beautiful grand entryway pendant. Another favorite way of mine to add just a little bit of a welcoming touch is fresh florals or fresh greenery in your entryway. I have a mentor. She's amazing. I feel like I wouldn't be as successful in my career as I am right now, and I wouldn't be going to the places that I'm going to without her guidance. My particular mentor is not an interior designer. She is just a wonderful businesswoman, and on a personal note, she's a mother, and I feel like being a successful businesswoman who's also a mother is what I strive to be every single day as a mother to a 3-year-old. So I don't necessarily think that you have to have a mentor within your field or your desired field. I just think you need to get yourself in rooms with people who are a step ahead of you in the direction that you want to go. I think it's extremely powerful and extremely motivating, and kind of helps keep you accountable to your non-negotiables, and keeps you excited. Thanks so much for touring our Modern Meadows renovation with me. I'm so glad you got to come along. I'm Halie Rachal, a professional interior designer based in Knoxville, Tennessee. I cannot wait to take you along our next tour.